Hey there, folks. If you had trouble understanding this song about brother men, you think it's just a bunch of garbled nonsense that kind of goes in one ear and out the other, with no real motivation or reason, then we got the movie for you today. This is Bad Ideas with Bad Circle, the podcast that consistently has worse ideas than Hollywood at a fraction of the price. Today I'm joined with Dang Selleck, our director extraordinaire.
I was under the impression that the whole Bad Ideas thing was sarcastic, and that we were at least partially noting the fact that all Hollywood movies are bad ideas.
Yeah, that's exactly the whole point. And then,
if you want to point out to like the real deep characteristics of the title, I'm just saying.
Maybe Hollywood is just a bad idea, man.
Sure. It really is, honestly. I'm just saying, like, we come up with, because if we were to make any movie, it wouldn't be good. But it would, as I said, just be a fraction of the cost. Anyway, sorry!
I don't like that statement either. I'm trying to get a career started here, Brant. This is step one.
All movies suck. I'm sorry. They're all shit.
Everything's bad except for Better Call Saul. That was the only good thing anyone ever made, and then since then it's just been Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, essentially. And I mean, like, yeah, we'll make your bad movie for a fraction of the price. You should hire us. But hey, today we watched an amazing Nicolas Cage movie. Once again, he has come upon the graces of our podcast, and I dare say that I think that eventually we will go through every Nicolas Cage movie on here, and then by that point we will hire him ourselves for a new movie.
After we've learned the entirety of his fucking catalog.
Then
we'll be worthy to walk into the chapel that is Nick Cage.
A quick rundown for this movie. It's called Arsenal on Amazon Prime. This movie is about two brothers. They're two brother mans, and one of them's a shithead, one of them's not. And then Nicolas Cage is in there, and that's all you need to know. The rest of it's just kind of like leading up to scenes of action and violence.
I don't want to bug out here. I don't want to bug out here, but this is basically like the Rick and Morty TV segment, Two Brothers. Like that's what this movie
kept saying
feels.
That in my head every single time anybody would mention brothers in this movie. So
yeah,
kind of is, yeah.
Two brothers, and it's just like, maybe take down the absurdity just a little bit, but then you got Nicolas Cage in there, so it's like all over the place. Yeah.
So this movie, I'm going to tell you guys the quick hot dog Hollywood story of this movie. First of all,
please do. Yeah.
And this is the quick version of it. There might be more information on the internet, but within 1 hour,
it's a sequel to Deadfall, basically.
Yeah. So there was a movie made in 1993 called Deadfall, which apparently isn't very well reviewed. I haven't seen it. And the character Nick Cage plays in this movie is the same character they played in that movie. And the other juicy tidbit is that his brother directed that movie. Christopher Coppola is his name. You can tell they're really untalented Coppola kids usually by whether they decide to keep their last name, minus Sophia, potentially, depending on your opinion there. But yeah, so that's depending on your opinion. As I said, it's a controversial statement. But
hey, it was a good enough movie to have a sequel.
And then in this movie, the only other part of that nugget, in this movie, when Nick Cage fights his brother, that is played by his real-life brother. So that's probably what informed the absolute genius of his performance in that scene.
I watched like a handful of scenes from Deadfall, and I gotta say, like, I thought Nicolas Cage was just half-assing his way through this Arsenal film, and I thought, I like, it seemed like he just walked on set and did whatever. And then I watched Deadfall, and it's actually a pretty faithful, like, not adaptation, but reboot or sequel of that character. Continuation. That's the word I was looking for. Like, it's basically the same. I can't understand a word that he was saying in Deadfall, and I can't understand a word that he was saying in Arsenal.
I feel so left out. I didn't see Deadfall at all. But if it's anything, if this is actually the True Blue sequel to it, then I'm sure it's actually not worth my time.
Kat,
it's not really a sequel.
Yeah, like in the description of, because I didn't even know the movie was an issue. I didn't know this was a send up of something or whatever. But going off of the plot description on Wikipedia, Deadfall, it has nothing to do with this movie. They don't even mention the character of Eddie a single time in the plot description. So he was probably an ulterior character or whatever.
No,
and that's what I'm genuinely curious about. I wonder if some guy wanted to make this movie, and he was like, holy shit, Nick Cage wants to be in this movie. And Nick Cage was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to do the character. Like, I want to do another thing with that character. And this reminds me of that character. And then they were like, sure, whatever. And then they see him on set, and he's got a fake nose, and he's just fucking chewing the scenery like it's a goddamn lifesaver. Yeah.
It. No,
that's what I think.
You said you watched Deadfall. Like, was Eddie actually in it then too? Is this like actually Nick Cage was in both these movies, and he's just the same character?
Yeah. He was. Well, he's not like a. I mean, he's an ulterior character in Deadfall, but he's also like the same basically. He's an ulterior character in Arsenal too. So the scenes that I watched in Deadfall with him, like he's not like a small character. He definitely has scenes to himself, and he has, he's a pivotal part of like the plot from what I could gather. You wouldn't hear
that. According to Wikipedia, I guess. No, I know. Whatever he did, it at least wasn't enough to warrant some fucking lazy bastard trying to do a 3-paragraph breakdown of the entire movie. Listen, it wasn't that consequential.
I will say, when I looked at the Wikipedia article, there was like a citation that said this plot needs more detail. Like, there was a literal citation in Wikipedia.
Well, it's not even the plot, dude. Like, even in Arsenal's Wikipedia entry, the only information on there was the plot. And if that's all you have to, like, describe this movie, then you really don't have a lot to go off of. So shall we go through the plot, lads?
Let's sneak on into it. So, this opens pretty badly, pretty dumb. It's what's all I remember is Mikey's name. What's the younger brother?
So Mikey and JP. JP is we open up firstly, the very first shot of the movie is JP. Like some kind of seabird flying majestically, then cut to Ethan Chase from Entourage as he cocks a pistol with a lens flare in the background at sunset.
He's got a very deep and emotional line too. They say it's like, some people say they wouldn't die for anyone. Well, I guess they've never had a brother or something. They cocks the guy.
Yeah, no, like that was exactly what the line is. And then harmonica solo. There's a harmonica solo in the music, and then we flash back to 23 years before Ethan Chase cocks his gun. But there's two brothers, and the bigger brother is like, I got all these fucking quarters, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do games. I'm going to go be a gamer. This is before Fortnite when games only cost 25 cents.
This entire, first, I'd say, 20 minutes is kind of, setting this tone or, the constant, what's the term? The pattern.
It's really setting up the theme of brotherly love.
No, the pattern of, we're going to introduce something in these first 10 minutes, and then we're not going to touch it again until the very end of the movie, where we're just remember that one scene? Whoa, that's important now because this came up. They just fucking do that the entire movie.
This movie has a very consistent habit of being. It feels like a lot has happened, but that doesn't mean that when you look at the 10-minute mark, it feels like any less than 10 minutes. It's whenever you flick the stick on your controller or press the button or whatever to see how much more movie you got left, you're never excited in Arsenal. You're always like, oh my God.
Yeah, even there's 10 minutes
left. But anyway.
Fuck, there's still 10 minutes left. Shit.
So, yeah, we're not even past the first 10 minutes of this movie. So, essentially, they do a little montage here and there about, fucking little brother never has food. Big brother cooks for him, though.
Here's the cut.
Grandparents are just old and don't move. That's their whole characterization. They're old and they don't move.
The granddad kills himself. We don't know what happens.
Spoilers!
No spoilers. It just happens. It's like, oh, hey, brother.
There's no setup.
And the next scene,
it's not the granddad either. It's the uncle. That's his uncle, apparently.
That was an uncle? Okay, sorry, I guess that might have been a stat. But that was a murder-suicide, too, right? Because he's dead, and I assumed he killed the lady with him.
He had to, because they just don't talk about it. So,
right. I didn't think about that.
But anyway, right before that happened, though, before the whole shit hits the fan and we blast forward 23 years, we have the little montage of be good brother, be bad brother. But it starts out with a very important scene of little brother is like, hey, can I have some quarters to go play video games? And big brother's like, no, you can't have quarters to play video games. And then he hands him like one quarter and he does psych and he fucking clocks him. And then they go and they just play games at the arcade. And the little kid's just in the background watching. And then Big Brother, fucking, what's his name? Mikey. Big Brother Mikey wins like fucking $70,000 worth of tickets and buys little brother fucking cards, like baseball cards. To say, oh, he is a big brother, even though he just made his little brother watch him play video games for hours and hours. So.
Yeah. But,
yeah,
okay.
no,
and then it's like
it's an abusive relationship for sure.
It's the classic one. It's brotherly love. You wouldn't get it if you didn't have a brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I think that was what I think that was kind of like the ethos or the thing that was going through the writer's head while he was writing this movie is like, yeah, he's being a dick, but you know, if you ever had a brother, you know, like you're a dick to him. Like either, dude, I don't care. Like you can still be a good brother, but like fucking, if you spend all that time, you don't even give him a fucking quarter, and then you try to pay him off with some fucking baseball cards. No, that ain't being a good brother. That's trying to fucking save your ass after you already went to war with.
The same scene could have come off making that guy look like the worst dick in the world. So it was just the way that it was like it was done in such like a Hallmark sentimental kind of way that it was bad. Yeah.
If the littler kid was Joaquin Phoenix, that could have been the first scene of Joker.
and then he turns in
his face afterwards in like the Chuck E. Cheese bathroom. He's like, I just got to put on a smile for Big Brother. Maybe he'll give me a quarter this time.
But unfortunately, we have other people to be the psycho in this movie. So
cut to that.
Just like Brant was saying, Uncle and Grandpa, whatever the fuck they are, the people who were supposed to be taking care of these kids get murdered.
The old brother walks in. He's like, oh shit, there's a dead person. Oh, what's up, JP? Here's all these quarters. Go to the arcade. Get the fuck out of here. Go to the arcade. Goes back, and I guess he decides to clean up before he also goes to the arcade.
Well, he doesn't do shit by the way of decides to clean up. The next thing we see is he's walking into the back of the arcade in a very long tracking shot behind him.
Okay.
And then on the other end of the arcade is Nicolas Cage doing fucking Reservoir Dogs murder fantasies.
For some reason, there is a creepy fucking plastic lined hallway in the back of this arcade where it is just easily accessible to children and crime just kind of happens back there. And for some reason, Mikey knows this and he goes into seeing a man getting the absolute shit beat out of him.
This was immediately after Uncle and Aunt were murdered, by the way. The next thing we see is him walking to the back of this place going into the seedy underbelly.
I have to ask, what'd you think of the music choices as Nicolas Cage was fucking the bats before he makes
gospel?
Oh yeah. where wait, was it the music where he was about to hit the pipe into the guy's mouth?
Yeah, after he's like bite this pipe, and he like starts like fucking. He starts like using the metal bat as like a dick, and he's like, "Yeah, what's up?"
Yeah.
And then he spikes, which also baseball is a theme in this movie. I'm noticing.
I was disappointed they didn't go all the way though. They had like a fair amount of gore leading up, and then they don't show the pipe go through the guy's head.
I know.
Later in the movie,
this happens at like the 8-minute mark. Go onto your sets and the Amazon Prime application and watch that scene because it just builds up with so much Zack Snyder slow motion of the sound of his teeth gripping the metal pipe, and then Nick Cage dancing with the bat, and then they don't even show a shot of the bat hitting the pipe. They don't show a shot of the pipe coming out the back of his head. There's not even a crunch sound effect.
The worst part is they show much later in the movie, around the end, that they are fully capable of doing like a good practical effect gore scene, and they just puss out. Yeah, this could have been cool, like having the pipe go through his head or some shit, or showing his teeth bust out, something.
Well, half the time in this film is spent to slow motion that doesn't add anything to the plot. Like, it's literally just slow motion of a guy standing there already. Like, it's like
we'll get to one of the more legendary versions of that.
It's fucking retarded. Like, every use of slow motion in this film actually makes it worse. It's amazing. So yeah,
it really does. But despite when this movie does use a little bit of its efforts into special effects makeup, usually that actually works pretty well, except for in the lovely case of the end of Nicolas Cage's face. Does anybody have any opinions on the Nick nose?
It's terrible. It's one of the worst like prosthetics I've ever seen. Like it comes off like
it looks like he did it himself.
No, it looks like a witch's nose that they bought off like a fucking Halloween store or something.
It looks like the nose of Nothing But Trouble, like the Dan Aykroyd character in Nothing But Trouble. Like, it's a penis nose. It looks ridiculous.
It's a little clit nose. It's not a full penis. Yeah. It's a little clit nose. Though.
Very sharp clit, though. Very sharp clit.
So hyperviolence happens, and then we cut to seeing how JP and Mikey bond, which is they bond over baseball, and JP's playing, but Mikey's mowing the lawn. And this is where everything sets up. And he's like, you want that fucking mower? Well, you got to pay for gas. You got to do upkeep, and you got to find people to work for.
Yeah, he says you can have my mower. I'm gonna go work for the big evil mafia man, Nicolas.
I'm gonna go do cocaine and crime, but you could be a lawnmower man. Cut the fucking
you see because
years.
He just had all right, dude.
Hard cut to 30 years. No context. No nothing. No character development. And here we are with JP owning like a fucking construction agency and Mikey just kind of being a piece of shit.
Right. When we first cut to JP, just to make sure that we know he's the boss, the line he says is, come on, go on, get out there, be a work. Like he was just being the most, I'm the boss character. I'm fair but kind. I am stern but kind. And then
we never actually learn what he does either. Like
he's a landscaper.
What?
Yeah, but like it's not. He's a self-started like independent landscaper, but like
he's not a landscaper. I don't know. No way. He's like there's like construction crews around. No, fuck off. He's not just.
The reason, like, because they mention, unless I'm crazy, like they mention that he's a landscaper because it's like supposed to be the direct connection.
No, I think he started as a landscaper, and that led to like him doing construction because later, his shithead. Whatever coworker that fucks him over.
Couldn't wait for it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But he's like, I bought this house with your money and we were going to flip it. So obviously, like, they're into, like, the house market too. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He's got a lot of money and Mikey doesn't. And it's the 4th of July now and Mikey's divorced and he invites him and his ex-wife and his niece over. And it's the most fucking awkward family barbecue ever.
Why would you do that in the first place? I mean, why would you like do exes?
Why would you invite the ex-wife?
Yeah, like do ex like what? Is that a thing that people do, or is that just a movie thing? Like, I want to know if the writer ever had that happen to him. Like, if the writer invites his ex to every single like 4th of July barbecue, like what? It's fucking retarded.
We'll see like all these writers of divorce. They're like, don't you guys hate when you go to a 4th of July party and like your ex is already there with your kids? Oh, isn't it the worst?
I need to vent a little bit and write this into a film. God damn it.
Well, and like also it's just there was a bit of build up before that scene too, and just to speed run it, just to say that like it is awkward. There's other fucking irons in the fire. John Cusack shows up and he's just playing blackface the character, and he's got a do-rag and fucking aviators, and he calls everybody bruh, and like it's just he's fucking blackface the character, and he really quick says, "Hey, your brother bought coke because I know everything that's going on in this city because I'm a cop." And your brother bought coke with that money that you gave him. And then there's a baseball game where he goes with his brother really quick and his brother punches somebody out of nowhere. And then some dudes B&E into Mikey's house and steal that coke that he bought. And then we cut to a really quick scene that I just wanted to highlight of JP fucking his wife in the tub with jeans on.
Oh, yeah,
which
that was
the most
weird.
frustrating thing in the world to me in the history of film. And then we're at the barbecue.
Why does that always happen? Why do people always get into the tub with their jeans on in films?
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
with the jeans, fellas. Like, I'll buy it if it's fucking shorts. I'll buy it if it's sweats, maybe. But I'm not ever gonna see a situation where somebody jumps into a bathtub. I'll
fully clothed,
dig a leg, but a
socks,
bathtub
jeans,
wearing
belt,
your
shirt.
jeans.
He's got an undershirt and an overshirt.
It's one of the weirdest
ripped. Can he take it off? Where's the eye candy for his abs? I was like, I got frustrated.
I think it's just because the filmmakers realized taking off your shirt is sexy, but taking off your pants is not sexy for a dude. It can be really sexy for a chick or probably a gay dude if you're into gay dudes being gay dudes.
Well, yeah, so just don't cut around that. That's why movie magic is there. You edit the fuck around that, and you don't have him like get into the bathtub with his jeans on. But for some reason, that's like a huge Hollywood cliche. Again, writers getting into the bathtub with their jeans on. Maybe that's apparently a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that like looks romantic on screen to Hollywood producers who've never gotten dick in their lives. Just some fucking dusty snatched 40-year-old lady who really wishes she never went to college and just fucked that guy in high school. That lady says, "Oh, what if he had his jeans on?" Because her entire perception of romance is just the scene where the guy pushes the girl against a wall because walls are erotic, and the scene where the guy's wearing his jeans in the tub.
That same woman probably like has named like the main character, or at least a prominent character, as the same as her like favorite cat. I bet. Like I'm sure that there's so many films out there that just have like characters that are the same as pet names of the writer.
And honestly, if we look at the scene too and how it was set up, like there's romantic candles, it's a bubble bath. He gets in with his pants on. I'm sure there's a solid 20-minute cut out there of him just dry humping her with his jeans on.
But you know what's important about this scene story-wise?
Nothing!
Exactly. Absolutely nothing. So then we're at the barbecue on the 4th of July, and the families are arguing. Fucking Mikey has his estranged daughter and ex-wife there, and he just wants to hang out with his daughter, be a good dad, even though if you watch this movie, he is not a good dad, and she is better every single day he's not in his life. But that's just my perception. But they start arguing at the table, and then fucking JP goes into the worst monologue I've ever heard, where he's like, so there was this homeless guy just preaching, outside of a Target, and I just walked up to I didn't know he was a homeless guy. I thought he was some sort of preacher. He was just so animated.
Die for you. Preaching. He loves you. He loves you so much. He'll die for you. And you don't even. And then I walked up to him and I said, "How did you know my brother?" And that's prayer, yes. And then they eat, and then fireworks, and then I was just like, "Fucking why? Why'd you even do that?"
Yeah, I don't. I think that was
he
a
was
badly
framed by
written
two American
I honestly
flags
think
also.
that.
Oh yeah, he was. No, you're right, Cats. The fucking the scene setting behind him was nauseating patriotic. Even if you were a fucking bleed red, white, and blue, bootlicking fucking all cops lives matter motherfucker who served for the Marines and sucked Taliban dick to fucking defuse a bomb, you would look at that background and be like, this is fucking too much, dude. Holy shit, tone it down. Because
Michael Bay would say that's a little fucking George Bush, isn't it?
Totally silent, beautiful setting. Everything's fucking sparklers and American flags. As soon as he's done, everyone's like, "That's a great speech."
Well, you guys are forgetting this movie was going to be called Southern Fury. So I mean,
thank you for reminding us. This movie was going to be called Southern Fury, and I couldn't find definitive reasons why they changed it. And according to the Wikipedia article, it's not this movie was called Southern Fury. It's that this movie is also known as Southern Fury. Because there are places in the world where this movie is called Southern Fury.
Yeah, it makes sense. I see it.
I saw a Southern Fury poster, and then
and there's a Blu-ray and everything.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. Neither title makes sense. I mean, Southern Fury makes a little bit more sense just because of the location. Arsenal doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
But we're at the 30-minute mark of this movie. And he gives a stupid speech or whatever, and then after that, there's also, I'll mention it just because the movie's going to mention it later, the Alexis, his daughter, is like, oh, I don't eat meat anymore, and she says that after they just fucking spend all that time grilling. Literally, that's the thing you say when they ask, hey, you want a burger or a dog? You don't ask that when they put it in front of you, but whatever, that's
that's the worst callback that they did actually at the end of the movie is when they called that one back. I was like, fucking why? Who gives a shit? But okay.
But so anyway, Ethan or JP says to Mikey, you took that $10,000 from me, and I heard you bought it Coke with it. He was like, I was trying to turn 10 into 20, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, you're always the good one. I'm just never going to borrow money from you anymore. And then he immediately goes and finds Nick Cage, just as a coincidence, I guess, and Nick Cage offers him, he says, I got a proposal involving your brother for us both to walk away with 6 figures.
After he rails a line of Coke. Well, the Coke doing scenes in this movie are sadly underperformed, because it's literally just Nick Cage putting his head down and going and then sitting back up and kind of like shivering while he does it. That's there's no like hard line, there's no like fucking woo or anything. It's just like
yeah. Ooh. And he doesn't act like he's like, his character is kind of like off the wall, but he's not. I don't know. There's none of the Coke.
He never seems to go full Cage. Well, see, that's the thing is he goes full Cage in acting and in yelling certain lines, but he never has enough to do while he's in Cage mode.
And besides the one scene, I mean, I'm skipping ahead again, but like besides the one scene where he kills his brother. And it's done in the. Oh my God! No,
I can't let you go ahead, Cats, because we have to do that together.
Worst bit
we have to get that one together because that's so.
Or that one's going to be a topic. So, Nick Cage offers him a thing, and he's doing his blow or whatever. And then it cuts. Alexis goes out with her black boyfriend, who's. I only specify it because it's weird how malicious this character is, and he's just the only black guy in the entire movie. That's the only reason I specify that, but I feel like specifying it.
So they really did him dirty. It was odd that.
And then the next morning, JP gets a call, and it's a ransom, and it's like, you have 4 days to get the money, which was a pretty arbitrary number, 4 days or whatever. He goes to John Cusack wearing the same stupid fucking
Can I ask? I want to ask: is there like an app that you can get that makes your voice do that, and then he just like you can switch it on and off? Because he's doing that voice through the phone without using anything from the outside, like on the outside of the phone. And then he's doing that also in the same scene later on and hands the phone to the brother. And it's like the brother sounds exactly like he always does. So it's like, is it something
that's
that
a
you
good
can just
point.
switch on?
I think that was just because the filmmakers are fucking idiots.
Yeah, I think his voice can just do that, actually. It's Eddie King. It's Nicolas Cage, and he's on cocaine. So your voice just does that.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. An alternative.
That's a good point about the voice changer. But yeah, no, just one more of the many stupid little things. But he goes to John Cusack, and like the fun and games, the second act of this movie is so heavily focused on this stupid investigation that John Cusack and JP are going on. And he knocks out one guy. He goes over to Mikey's house and flips and fucking busts in. And there's a crackhead in there. And then they go to another guy and there's a chase scene. And honestly, there was nothing that happened fucking story-wise there, except John Cusack has a toothpick now.
Yeah, they go to another guy after the chase scene, and it's like, hey, man, where's my brother? Do you know where he is? And he's like, you know what, honestly, JP, I'm sorry to say this, but, like, you know, Eddie wouldn't just kidnap anyone. That's a lot of, like, heat on someone. So, like, it sounds like your brother's fucking trying to stiff you, man. It sounds like he's just trying to steal money from you. And then we cut to Mikey, who's back at the bar. So we've had, like...
That's very far in the future. But...
No, that's it, because it's like crackhead... Whoa, John Cusack, I'm angry. He gets some money together. And then it's like the next chase scene as they like fucking pound down a dude. And then he's like, hey, I'm John Cusack and I might know this guy. He's also undercover. And then it's like, yeah.
Right. And John Cusack, I really think, is only in this movie so that he can have lines of dialogue like, "You think anybody in this department gives a fuck about your brother?"
Yeah, shit like that.
I think that's the only reason he's in this movie, is just to have some hard-boiled cop dialogue.
He seemed really tired. He seemed like he just walked. Either he was like, it was pretty good, like tired cop acting, or he really just like walked on set.
He looks like a man who was told you're wearing the do-rag, and he said, "Really?" And then the movie.
Okay.
That's what I read it as. But whenever I do see an actor like that, I really hope that the actor just showed up and they're like, "I'm doing it with the do-rag, or I'm not doing it." I really hope that's what happened. But either way, you're right, Brant. The next we get the big twist about what's actually going on with Mikey. But right before
third flashback in this movie so far is Mikey's talking with him. He's like, "I'm not letting you kidnap me. I'm not letting you stiff over my brother." And then they just kidnap him anyways. And that was the big twist, is he actually is kidnapped.
Right, and they cross-cut that. With the scene with Alexis where she's out with Black Boyfriend.
Shit.
And she's like, "Hey, you should go. My mom's already going to be super mad at me."
Nah,
and then he's like, "Smoke this
smoke
first."
This.
And he shows, and it's just a weed pipe.
Yeah.
And she says no. And he's like, "Smoke it, bitch." And he smacks the fuck out of her as she's trying to open the door. And when she opens the door, apparently JP materializes in full Zack Snyder slow motion, just ready to attack him.
Mid-sprint. He was already running before the door was open. He was
already running and in the doorway immediately.
And this is one of our first instances of terrible usage of slow-mo, where we get 3 different shots of him in slow motion, just kind of slowly moving, and the music's super intense, and he's just kind of like there, like kind of moving.
Right, and it builds up to the hit, and you never get the hit.
Yeah. They cut away from the hit because they can't actually like do the stunt, in camera, and and then he goes, "Okay, don't hit my niece," or she stops him from beating him up for some reason, and then he says, "Don't hit my niece," and then the scene ends.
Oh yeah, and honestly, that scene did nothing but we can discuss the just overall issues with Alexis's character and utilization. But anyway, that scene fucking adds nothing. But yes, you were right, Brant. Next, the big fucking twist happens where it turns out Mikey refused working for Nick Cage and screwing over his brother, but that turned into them forcing him to do it by kicking the shit out of him. And then we have
we see Riff Raff in it too. He's "I'm gonna blow. My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody." And he's got the fucking sharp ass teeth. Nicolas Cage's right hand man, his entire bottom row of teeth are gold, and he for some reason goes at people.
Okay, he's like he looks like Riff Raff mixed with Tiger King's boyfriend or whatever the fuck that guy.
That's actually a really good fucking description.
Boyfriend.
He is southern white trash to a T, but like made a little, like giving him more money. He's a little fancy. He's got gold teeth. He's not just.
He gets a paycheck. He gets enough of a paycheck to do what he does.
He's doing all
right. He's $30,000 rims on a $3,000 car boiled down into one person.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a good car. It runs well. It doesn't spit up smoke, so it's fine. And he keeps the paint up.
That hurts. The next thing that happens is Nick Cage. The next thing plot happens. There might be one scene in the middle where fucking Ethan Chase just runs around fucking sucking no dick. I don't really.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's like whenever because until like we get to the an action scene, it's basically just Ethan kind of fucking putzing around.
Right, and the character's real name is JP. I just say Ethan because his name is Ethan Chase in Entourage. So if anybody gets confused and I say Ethan, that's what I mean.
See, I've never seen Entourage, but I associate that guy with Devil Wears Prada because he was the boyfriend in Devil Wears Prada. So
that also works.
I saw him in.
Was he good in that?
No, he fucking sucked.
And that's even the character he plays in Entourage. Is Adrian Grenier is just a pretty face. He's a pretty face, and
they wouldn't take his shirt off.
No, no,
it's because he's not a beef cast. Like he's got a good body, but he doesn't have a fucking like Henry Cavill.
Fucking Robert Pattinson took his fucking shirt off, and he was supposed to be a pale, diseased vampire. And it's like, yeah, he's got a little bit of that happy trail. He's a little thin, he's not got a gut. He's fine, good enough. This is a Hallmark action movie. You don't need that much sex. You don't need that much sex to sell it. Sorry.
Well, and on that same subject, to pump the brakes on the boy ogling for a second, now we get the meaty, juicy point of the movie where Nick Cage's brother shows up. And he goes... So his brother tells him... There's a couple of scenes... there's so much stupid shit in this fucking movie. But so his brother tells him something. This is just something that I thought was a very complicated thing to explain, but it really, really bothered me. His brother shows up and he gets in the car with his brother, and his brother says to him, I gotta kill you now, Nick Cage, because everybody in town knows your scheme about trying to screw over JP, the wealthy landscaping man. Everybody in town knows about that. So John Cusack's entire character is he knows everybody in town. And he knew about fucking Mikey buying the Coke at the beginning of the movie when really no one should know about that except for him and the other person he had a private transaction with. That's just the old libertarian brain speaking. But anyway, why the fuck doesn't John Cusack know this shit if the entire plot point of why Nick Cage's brother gets involved is because everybody knows what's going on?
Because he's got connections from New Orleans to New York, so someone around there. No, it's not like in town. It's like because Eddie says Eddie is Mikey, or no, it's Mikey is Eddie King's brother. Says everyone in New Orleans is talking about your scheme.
No, Buddy,
you fucked
Buddy
up.
is Eddie King's brother.
Fuck, God damn it. Buddy says everyone in New Orleans knows your scheme. I'm gonna kill you now, Mr. Whoever. We're done here. And then the best line. I wish you put it on the soundboard. I should have told you to do it earlier because it is, oh my fucking God, dude. If anything, this movie's worth watching for this 10-second scene. It's so perfect. Can anyone do this really good? I can't do the
somewhere
fucking
in between the 50 and 60 minute mark, everybody. That's where you're gonna, if you want to bother with this movie at all, and if you just want the juicy Nick Cage, the juiciest Nick Cage is like right at the 50-minute mark where he's beating his brother to a pulp, screaming, "My brother's trying to kill me! My brother's trying to kill me!"
That's good. Yeah, no, it's he strains first. He goes, "My brother's trying to kill me," and they karate chop him.
The absolute fullest of Nick Cage, and it's some gospel song is playing. It's like, "I'll never be your slave until I'm buried in my grave."
And apparently, well, and in the scene, the way that he's beating him is he's bringing his fists down with not knuckle first, he's just hitting him with the bottoms of his hands, where nothing is sharp there, and yet somehow just hitting him like that, he's sending like huge bottles of blood at the television and the ceiling and everything that. There's blood flying everywhere.
This is another one of those scenes where it's really stupid how much blood there is in it.
An entire bottle of fake blood that they just crushed.
But it's the most flaccid version of blood I've ever seen in a movie. It's just there's a bunch of blood now. It doesn't do any of the big ballsy shit with gore. It doesn't show a pipe going through the back of someone's head. It doesn't show any teeth breaking. It doesn't do any of the shit that actually makes you feel ow. It just does the shit that's it's a lot of blood.
That comes
and
later.
One thing that's funny is Nick Cage is able to do this huge violent amount of damage with his fists in the wrong position. But bats, if you hit somebody with a bat 10 or 12 times in this film, nothing happens.
Or
brass knuckles, apparently.
Just tank that shit.
Yeah, that's fine. Literally, some guy.
Some dude gets hit with a hatchet in the arm. It's just ow, my arm. Oof.
Oh, well, and didn't his brother's arm get broken in one scene, and then it's just fine afterwards?
It's that same scene. He hits him with a hatchet.
Okay.
Then he's going for the kill, and he breaks his arm. It's earlier in the movie, but he's just I hurt my arm. It kind of.
They literally show him. Yeah, they show it snap in half, and then they just don't address that at all. It's bizarre.
Never touched it. But The whole
movie
thing about
is so dense with stupid shit that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I really tried my best to make as many notes as possible, but a lot of this shit I didn't even notice.
Truly, the best part about Eddie King killing his brother Buddy is the scene after where he's talking to Mikey and doing coke in front of Mikey all tied up, and he says, "Hey, I want to read you this letter I wrote for my brother."
I was 17.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Top.
Yeah, that's like right at the 60-minute mark, people. Just watch Nick. It's a monologue. So there are 3 monologues in this movie. There's the one that's like I saw a homeless guy monologue. And then later, eventually, there's going to be one from Mikey where he's like, "God, if you just let me get out of this, I'll be a better person." Both of them are the most generic monologue of all time. Nick Cage has also kind of a generic monologue, but he goes full Nick Cage. And that's the issue. Like, if you want to understand the good parts of this movie, which is, I can't even say good, just the watchable parts.
I don't know if it counts as a monologue, but I wouldn't leave out the Drano Nick Cage moment.
The Drano one stuck with me. Yeah, even though it really doesn't do anything for the plot, that one stuck. It's just because he's like, "Oh, you'll be coughing up black blood for hours," or whatever.
Like just the long drawn out story and the way he just like reenacts it, like when he like the kid drank some Drano.
Puking up blood and bits of his stomach.
Nick Cage is going full on with a lot of that shit. He gives these speeches. He's given the performance. It's just, I really think this movie didn't work at the end of the day because you didn't follow him. You didn't. Yeah. He extended his insanity, and you were like full fucking Nickelback on this shit. We're just appealing to the masses here. You really should have seen. If you're painting a masterpiece and your green becomes sentient and just starts jumping around, you're going to have a shitty painting if you try to go about it the way you initially were. You got to follow the green now.
Yeah.
This movie was painted red, and it should have painted green, is what you're saying?
This movie was
essentially,
and it all turned out to be shit brown because it sucks. But
so anyway, there might have been, I think, if the scene, okay. So this is the scene where that thing you were talking about, the voice changer, Eddie's like on the fucking, he's using the voice changer, calling JP to try to intimidate him, and then he's like, "I want to talk to my brother. Give the phone to my brother." And he gives the phone to Mikey, and Mikey's like, "Oh, well, as soon as we get out of this, we'll go play some video games on me."
At the arcade.
Right. Well, he actually doesn't say the arcade. I thought it was the arcade, but he just says, "We'll play some video games on me." So he was like referencing the quarters specifically. So I don't know. It was pretty vague, but I that's like one of the only plot points in the movie where I'm like, fuck it, sure. Also, I skipped over this entirely, but there's also a flashbang that'll come back eventually, which has been mentioned twice and didn't need to.
Yeah, it gets a lot of setup.
There's a lot of setup for that stupid fucking flashbang, but
okay, we'll get to that because there's another stupid element to the flashbang.
We're almost there. We really are almost
cook up that thought. But on the way to that, so Mikey is sitting there tied up or whatever after he talks to his brother, and he is slowly chomping himself out of the ropes around his wrist. And he gets free, and he jumps. The guy's named Luca, the guy in the patterned shirt, who, like, Luca, I think Bram was saying was like one of the only
guy. Yeah, he looks like Riff Raff. His name's Luca. Okay.
Yeah, I only know that because the subtitles at one point specifically pointed out that his name was Luca. But he gets jumped. And Mikey, but Mikey had some sort of a sharp object, and he just stabs him a bunch of times, and then Mikey gets knocked out, and then the guy stands up, and exactly like this, he says, "Oh, he stabbed me a bunch of times. I'm bleeding pretty bad. I'll go put him in the chair." And then he immediately goes and kidnaps Mikey's daughter. There's I need medical attention.
You go back to this because Luca is a good actor. He was probably one of the best next to Nicolas Cage in this movie. He responds in kind as if he's actually talking on the phone to his boss, Eddie King. He's like, "Yeah, hey man, Mikey got out. He fucked me up pretty bad. I'm bleeding out here." You know, he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah. No, I could tie him back up. It's fine. Yeah, no.
But dude, he wasn't wincing or anything. He was calling up like he was a pizza delivery driver, and he wasn't sure which apartment you were in.
It was a little.
He made it sound like he was pretty injured in that scene, but there wasn't a whole lot of like pain shown, I guess. And then
I would have bought his performance if you just had a reverse shot of him looking at his hand and there was blood, because then at least you would acknowledge it more. It seemed like he was just saying, "I've been stabbed." And I didn't even.
I can see that. That's true. Well, that's on the director, who was just like, "No, I want you to stand there and talk on the phone to Eddie after you just got stabbed."
Pretty much all this movie is on the director.
So the black boyfriend
Damn
who's
you,
been
Stephen Miller.
this whole time, he steals the niece, and now they're both together. And he's like, "Shit, I really am a fucking bad dad. Sorry, girl. Sorry, hun."
Oh, God, that was that was why I'm so hard on fucking Mikey being a terrible dad, because the little girl, like, at the very least, I don't know if the character Mikey, he doesn't actually exist, so who knows if he's a terrible dad, but I just want fucking Child Protective Services to just look into the guy who directed or wrote this movie just to make sure everything's on the up and up. I'm not saying anything is, but the fact that the little girl, or his daughter, gets brought to him, and she's just sitting there crying and stuff. And his first reaction is to look at Nick Cage and say, "I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. I'm going to kill." His first reaction should theoretically be, "Are you okay?" But that's
what'd you do to her, you monsters? Why is she here? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's why, fucking either the director or Mikey, it's a good thing that neither.
No, he's just a caged animal. Mikey's literally just like a fucking caged tiger who's just been starved. He's just
but they don't show that as a flaw at any point. The girl never says, like, if at the end of the movie Alexis was like, I'm happy for what you did, but like, you're still a fucking monster. You've learned nothing. If that was how this movie ended, then at least there's reason for that shit. But that is not how this fucking movie ends. Nope. So, we see, oh God. All right. So this is a fun little chunk. Okay. So he sits down with Eddie at the diner, and Eddie basically offers him the same deal he's been offering him, like, give me a bunch of money and I'll let your brother go. So it was a really pointless scene.
Less money.
It was just because Adrian Grenier was like, "I want a scene with Nick Cage." So he
lowered it to $200,000 also. He went from $350 to $200,000. So that was all that happened.
Yeah, but he lowered it in the meeting, and it was just out of desperation. Like,
it was at a fucking barbecue place too. He's just like, "Hey, come to fucking Joey's barbecue pit. Fucking Eddie wants to talk to you." And then they're just eating, or I guess like he got done.
Well,
eating.
they're not eating. They're not eating, because at the end of the scene, Nick Cage is like, "I'm not hungry, but I'll pay, but it's on me." And he tosses some cash on the table, which would be cool if that scene meant anything.
No. It was literally just like, "I supported your family. You owe me." And he's like, "Fuck off. I don't know you."
Now, Alexis has been kidnapped, and that's Mikey's daughter, for those who are not having the proper nouns. Neither am I, honestly. But so Mikey's daughter has been kidnapped, and JP is like, holy shit, whatever the fuck. And then he runs and he goes over to her house / her mom's house, and her mom is just laying on the table, surrounded by photos of her daughter who just got beaten. And her answer to that situation wasn't, "Maybe I'll call the cops first." It was immediately, "I'm overdosing on pills in my bed." That was what she did, and she took a bunch of pills, and he grabs her and brings her to his house for some reason. And then they attempt the medical process of shoving your finger in her throat, which can only be done in the sanitary environs of your own house as opposed to her house.
What I found was funny was, like, he took the time. He was like, he asked her twice, "Go get a bucket." He was like,
"Yeah, you don't need a fucking bucket. Just do it outside."
He goes, "I don't want you vomiting on my fucking floor, but I'm going to bring you inside. Then I'm going to have my wife go grab a bucket. We're going to have to bring that over. Then I'm going to shove my fingers down your throat." That was the medical process.
If you're worried about the bucket situation, put your fingers down her throat in the room, in her house.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well,
the things are dissolving in her stomach as we speak.
I'll bring it up here right now, because the only reason why this scene existed was because the chick who was playing the wife was probably fucking the director, and she was like, "Hey, I've literally only had like 3 scenes. can I like have one where I try to convince JP to just run away with me to like Paris or like California? And he was just like,
that was
I
her
guess.
Oscar reel.
Yeah.
I guess. And that's really
Stephen
That
Miller.
was the only line she had in the movie where she was being asked to act a little bit.
Yeah. Stephen Miller was like, "Hey, babe, I'll write a scene in this film where you can you get yelled at to go grab a bucket. How about that?"
we were just gonna have her like puke and like we were gonna have him like shake her awake, and she was gonna say like, "I know where he is, but sure, we'll do with you." And she's like, "Let's move. Let's get out of here. Let's go to Paris or California." And then JP was like, "Katrina didn't make us leave. This isn't either." And that was
Is that really a line he says?
that's a
Yeah.
legitimate line.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brant, because that line was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
That
I
was just
actually stopped and I like got up and I went back and I like fucking put like 10 seconds back. Did he say that?
And
Katrina
this movie
didn't
didn't
make
come
us
out in
You
like
can say that.
2006 or anything either. This movie came out in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's fascinating. But all right,
That's
so
like
now
the
we're
New Yorker
finally
going,
into
like,
the
we
final
didn't
act.
leave during 9/11. We're not gonna leave now.
We're finally
Sequel
into the
is that.
final act of this film, and now JP just decides it's Rambo time. He calls up John Cusack and is like, "I'm gonna kill some motherfuckers," and John Cusack's like, "No, don't kill motherfuckers." And then whatever,
He goes,
it doesn't matter.
Still, yeah.
But
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
so now JP's they show the opening shot again where he cocks his pistol at
So
Sun.
this entire movie has been a fucking flashback. Which within this flashback there have been multiple other flashbacks.
Yes.
Yeah, this movie is kind of confusing at the very least. But okay, so he goes and saves his brother, which gives him like zero resistance, by the way. Like, this is a fucking ransom job, and his brother was just easily and immediately saved. So he saves his brother, and he says, "It's my turn to save you, big bro. Let's go kill those motherfuckers." And then Mikey's like, "Don't mind if I do," or something like that. I don't fucking care. So then they go, and they're like, "Open this briefcase, Nick Cage. There's money in it, lol, JK." And then lol, JK, fucking XD, the fucking flashbang was in there the whole time.
And real money.
Oh, wow.
And real
And
money
fuck-
for some
And
reason.
fucking real money. Why the fuck would you put a flashbang in there with all this money that you were so worried about trying to keep? I didn't
Yeah,
fucking
I'm pretty sure
understand
that's
that at all.
against the law. I don't think the Treasury would like that.
Because they couldn't fucking do the John Woo thing and like,
That's
get
just
done.
inflation the move.
Yeah, but
Listen.
he could have just put like Monopoly money. That would have been a funny joke.
That would have
if there
been
had just been
pretty
Monopoly
cool.
money.
Yeah, no, actually, Monopoly money would have been badass because it still would have given you the effect of like fucking money floating through the air, but it has a little bit of the fuck you effect of it wasn't real in the first place, and it makes more logical sense. Literally, I don't know, fucking like, was there not a single reasonable person who worked on this goddamn movie?
So now we're treated to a like uninterrupted 4 minutes of just slow mo people getting shot and like really bad CGI. But the
Yeah,
first
pretty
two
even
get
split
shot.
of the two brothers are going at it now. Pretty even split of kills, by the way.
The first guy could just get shot in the dick. I just want the first one to die. He
Second
literally-
guy gets shot in the dick. So I wrote it down. So JP, he uses the flashbang and then he shoots a dude in the face, and then he grabs a shotgun off the ground and
Right,
shoots a dude
that's right.
nuts. And then
Yeah.
he shoots another guy in the head. Or no, and then that's when he shoots Luca in the head. And then that's when our boy Mikey busts in and he shoots one guy through the jaw and he shoots another guy in the fucking head or something. He kills another guy. But
Then he
there are
gets
two
shots.
kills. And then fucking Mikey is lining up a shot on Nick Cage. He pops one off, hits him in the leg, or Nick Cage shoots Mikey in the leg. Mikey like just buckles and falls to the ground. This whole scene is in slow motion, by the way. Mikey buckles and falls to the ground and looks over at JP, and they make eye contact, and JP nods because fucking of course he nods. And then Mikey shoots Nick Cage, gets him in center mass. He falls down, and then JP walks over there with a shotgun, says no one-liner, and blasts his head off.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's the movie.
no,
Then they go
it's a
back.
Well,
very
that's not the movie,
unsatisfying
'cause then
ending.
there's a barbecue.
Yeah. Then they go back to the. Sorry.
And there's a barbecue, and then there's an awkwardly long shot of them just running out into a field and saying, "Oh, baseball! I
It's-
love baseball."
But also,
Remember
if
baseball?
you guys
That's
don't,
how we
if you
bond,
guys
JP.
remember-
We bond through baseball. Remember? Let's
Ooh.
play.
Oh, Alexis, Mikey's daughter was kidnapped, right? And when
Yeah.
fucking he rescues him, Mikey's first thing isn't let's go rescue my daughter. It's let's go kill people. So yet again, bad father. But they never show Alexis being rescued at all. They never show Mikey being slightly motivated by Alexis being captured.
Nope.
They never show any of that shit. It's
But
just Alexis is back at the barbecue at the end, and she says, "I'll take a rib, Uncle JP." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were a vegetarian."
Get some monkeys for you. Some tofu.
Yeah, and then they play baseball, and the movie's fucking over. Thank God. Worst hour. Like, that is, if you guys are looking for something dumb to watch and you just want it to go by quickly and be easy to watch, Arsenal is not one of those.
No.
It does have that last scene, though. You forget where he's like, because, yeah, it's a hard cut after he just kills Eddie King. Blows his brains out with a shotgun, killed multiple people, and then we're just seeing him like flipping ribs on the barbecue. You don't do that with ribs, by the way. You fucking slow cook them or you smoke them or something. You don't just like fucking chop them up and like, put them on a grill. But he's
Very
like,
good
I
point.
should be a television chef.
Like that. Whenever anybody cooks ribs, they're usually in tinfoil and they're being fucking like they're being cooked internally. They're not being
he's fucking flipping them like sausages. He's like fucking and he's got the audacity. Yeah. He's got the fucking Louisiana nuts to say like, oh, I should be a television chef and these should be on my first show. Fuck you, JP.
How to cook ribs wrong. Good point, Bray. This movie sucks.
Fuck this movie.
Okay, we've spent a fair amount of time on that. Any other grand opinions from you guys on the overall quality of this here endeavor?
I think we pretty much went over everything, honestly.
I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 10 for Nicolas Cage's performance. That's it.
If it was just Nicolas Cage, this would be like a 7 out of 10, sure. But
if you guys can find all the Nick Cage scenes from Arsenal on YouTube, then you should never have to purchase this movie.
Yeah, just watch that.
Even
instead.
those are bad, though. So just don't watch it.
Well, and you also are going to want to see that scene of black guy offers weed in rage. Weed-driven rage, and then gets fucked up by Ethan.
Yeah, that was like a mixture of Birth of a Nation and what's that one Reefer Madness. It was like Birth of a Nation and Reefer Madness. That was what that scene
It basically was.
Yeah, you just need to look up like all the slow-mo scenes and all the Nicolas Cage scenes, and that's basically the entire movie. That's it.
Yeah, or like I say, if anybody is genuinely interested, like the 40-minute mark and the 50-minute mark, there's something about this movie where this is the first movie I've taken timestamps while I was taking notes on it for this podcast, but every 10 minutes something interesting happens pretty much. So just go to the 10-minute mark, and if Nick Cage is there, something might happen.
Well, hey, let's shall we convene, boys?
Get that music.
I mean, the music should have been playing. I couldn't hear it, but
it says it is.
You love it. You love it every time. Anyways, boys.
Oh well, if you guys could hear it, then I guess it happened.
I usually offer you boys some cocaine or some other, but after watching Arsenal, I think cocaine's a lot lamer now. So I'm cutting back personally. You guys could partake.
It's the number one anti-drug movie of all time. It makes
honestly, it is. It's so fucking lame. Yeah, hey, I got Nicolas Cage. He's always on our back call. Consider we could get original cast here, but you know why we're here, boys. You know why we're here.
Why are we here?
Yeah,
we're here to remake the sequel to Downfall, sometimes known as Southern Fury, the movie in heavy quotes known as Arsenal. I'm gonna give it to you first, Cats. I'm actually very excited to hear what you have to say for thoughts to what the fuck to do to this thing.
Sure. Well, yeah, I think first of all, most important or interesting thing about this film was Nicolas Cage.
Of course,
his performance. And then the second most interesting, or perhaps the most interesting, honestly, thing about the film was finding out that he was a continuation of the character in whatever it was, falling down. Whatever. What was it?
Downfall?
Batman
was
it?
and Robin, I think it was.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it was. He's the same exact character. So I think we should make a completion of the trilogy of Eddie King. And we can call it Southern Fury or whatever. Maybe like Arsenal.
Three Kings, the
Arsenal.
Three Kings collection, like when you sell it in a box set.
Or the three Southern Kings? I don't know. The three Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys. No, they're New Orleans, so it's like
New
have
Orleans.
To be like fuck. So there's Boardwalk Empire. We call it like what's something in New Orleans? The Katrina Kids? No, I can't.
What about like Fat Tuesday, Bloody Wednesday, or something?
That's a good one. That's
there you
good.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Fat Tuesday trilogy. I'm down with that.
So in this film though, it's 20 years. It's 20 years in the future. It follows Derek Jones, who is just a normal guy. He has a normal job. He has his mom in an old folks home in New Orleans, and she begins to complain because she's constantly like getting broken into, and there's people that are like punching her in the face and stuff like that. And he's like, "What the?" And he finds out there's an illegal gambling ring being held by Eddie King, who's admitted in the old folks home.
He lives
in the old folks home, and he's running an illegal gambling ring. So Derek tries to like get the home to like.
Did you say how long after Arsenal this was?
20 years.
Okay.
He might be dead by then, but I think he'd be fine.
He'd be like 60 or 70. Yeah, we'll go with that. He's just gonna be older.
Yeah. He's an old. Well, how old is he now? Isn't he like 60 now?
I think in Arsenal he's like 40-ish, I'd say.
Oh, but no. How old is Nick Cage in real life?
Fuck, why would I know that?
Okay. Well,
Let me look it up real quick.
anyway.
I got you, Chief. And keep going.
20, 30, 40, who
Focus on
cares?
story, Brand. All goob.
Yeah.
He's 57.
But, he's 57. There you go. So, Derek Jones, whatever his name is, he tries to like intervene. He tries to tell the old folks home, but none of them listen to him because they're all getting like paid on the side by Eddie King. So he decides to take matters into his own hands, and thus making himself the target of Eddie King, and quickly learns that Eddie will stop at nothing to keep his gambling ring going. And that's all I read.
So wait, okay, so it's a gambling ring, and just like in Arsenal, he is for some reason operating outside of a wildly inappropriate housing unit. In Arsenal, it's the arcade, and this one he's doing it inside a retirement home.
Yes. And he also lives in the retirement home, and I think it could be like you could make it you can make that retirement home a pretty great set, And
then you're also gonna like add in like elder abuse and like.
Yeah, no, you could have like you could have alligators like running around inside, like there's like lizards in the elders' rooms, and nothing's being taken care of, and Nicolas Cage is just like throwing cards, money everywhere.
Are we gonna kind of go like full schizo on this? Is this gonna be like a really like just a wild ass place? Like when we finally get to like the final scenes in this place and like it's the confrontations, is it gonna be like literally every room is gonna be like having this crazy fucking theme going on or something? Is that kind of like in your mind, or is it just gonna be like
basically?
jungle?
I mean, I feel like since we're in New Orleans, we could get away with like like this place being like slightly like just kind of like rotting into the Everglades or whatever they are that New Orleans has, like the swamps, it's just turning into a swamp basically, and like creatures are taking over, and Nicolas Cage just turns it all into craziness. But it's the only retirement home that Derek Jones can take his mother to. So
I understand because it's tough to like go on more with this. I'm just gonna throw it at you. Just give me like just like a couple scenes or like kind of like a general progression that I want to see before or like to the confrontation and how you want that to like play out and end. And while you think about while you're mulling that over, while you're chewing that fat, while you're really thinking about it, Dwayne, dang, would you be so kind? Would you be such a lovely duck to tell me what your vision of Eddie King in Arsenal could possibly be? Is it a remake?
So let me open it up with a statement. So Nick Cage is the most prolific rapist in Hollywood. And that's theoretically speaking. There are far more prolific rapists on a physical sense. But what I mean is when you cast Nick Cage in a movie, you're fucking really, really, really throwing the dice on shit. And in this case, it was a perfect example of a filmmaker who put Nick Cage in a movie, and Nick Cage just started raping that movie, and he just pushed, and he fought back, and he ended up with a bunch of torn fucking things down there. So what I'm saying is we don't want to push back. We just want to accept it in this case, which I'm not saying is the right chance in every case. But when you're in a situation where you have no recourse but to submit to the great power that is Nick Cage, you need to accept that he wants to make an absolutely off-the-walls movie. So I think what we do is this is going to be a sequel. It's going to be a direct sequel. But it's going to be a direct sequel in the way that, like, this is the thing that I think is interesting about the medium of video games that movies don't really do as much. Whereas, like, in movies, like, if you do a sequel that continues the same story, it's got to have the same cast, it's got to have the same whatever. Whereas occasionally in video games, they're just like, oh, it's got to have different gameplay now and different characters, and everyone's looking different, and everything smells different, and it's entirely different genre. But just accept it, you pricks. So that's what I'm talking about doing. So we open up. They're in the middle of that baseball game at the end of the movie. They're throwing the baseball, saying, oh, brother, boo, boo, boo. And then Alexis runs up to the ball game, and she's like, guys, Dad, he's back. And then Mikey's like, no! And he grabs his bat, and he starts smashing it against the wall in pure anger. And then JP's like, who's back? And then Nick Cage comes in on a fucking Black Hawk helicopter with his head in his hands because he hasn't had it reattached yet. And then he just starts shooting rocket launchers. He entirely eviscerates Alexis. And then that is the motivation for Mikey to spend the next 23 years, cut to 23 years later, 23 years of sitting there hating Nick Cage, wanting to destroy him. But Nick Cage just got elected governor of the state of New Orleans. Nick Cage just got elected governor of the state.
Is he still headless, or is it like a?
He got it reattached. He's got like bandages around his neck now, and you just accept it.
Can we get scenes where like as he like kind of goes back to his governor's palace or whatever, like he takes his head off and like sets it down or something?
Oh no, yeah, like the final boss fight of this movie, I'm thinking his head sprouts wings and you have to fight his body. One brother has to fight his body, and the other brother has to fight his head. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. So
I
anyway,
was just thinking like to show like now he's being evil is when he takes his head off and he carries it or something.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's like, see, that's the thing is like, so he's the governor, and when he is the governor, he's got like a nice tie on that hides the bandages around his neck. But the only people who truly know who he actually is are the evil and his brutal nemesis.
Is he the governor of? Is he the governor of New Orleans?
Yeah, he's the governor.
The governor of Louisiana, or is he like the mayor of New Orleans?
No, he's the governor of the state of New Orleans. You're not picking up on this. Is a Nick Cage movie.
This is 30 years in the future. I understand. Yeah, like New Orleans has flooded so thoroughly that it has actually like claimed all of Louisiana. And
you are not wrong, dude. This is like a semi-informed by global warming version of 23 years from now, where New Orleans is basically Mad Max, only with water instead of dust.
So it's water world.
What you're saying.
But no, so I haven't even gotten to the plot yet. So Nick Cage is the governor or whatever, and Mikey, for the first time in 23 years, goes to JP, and JP's just been trying to set his life back together. He doesn't want any more problems. He feels bad for his brother, but he just wants to get his life back together after all this shit went down. And his brother is like, hey, I invented all these mech suits. I need you to get in a mech suit and come with me, and we're going to take down the governor finally. We're going to get revenge. And then JP's like, no, well, we can't do that because there's other people in there. You've gone mad with insanity. Your insanity is mad, Mikey. You're going to kill too many innocent people. And Mikey's like, I don't care. And then he smashes another bat against the chain link. But then JP was like, okay, well, the only way I can defeat this army of mechs that Mikey is to my arch nemesis. This, and he says, "Hey, Nick Cage, Mikey's gone nuts."
Wait, stop.
Like
wait, time out. So wait, is Mikey is defeating the mechs that JP made?
Mikey, my bad. Mikey is so JP's just trying to go back to his landscaping business, but Mikey's like, the war's not over. I built my mech army. We're taking down the Capitol building in New Orleans.
And so JP's trying to stop Mikey.
Yeah, because JP's like, he's gone too far. Like,
Okay.
even if you're my enemy, Nick Cage, I have to go against the most important thing in the world to me, which is my brother, and fight against you. And Eddie's like, okay, sure. And he uses all of his government powers to try to fight this increasing army of mechs.
Can we change it from mechs to clones? Do you think we could do that instead? I'd like to see like just a lot of Mikey clones.
Like
over
that.
mechs.
No, that's better than mechs. But I still want there to be like a metallic thing to them, like they've been injected with super soldier serum.
Yeah, like they could all be like fuck the like, or they're like the Borg
Like Captain
from
America.
Star Trek, like they just have like wires out and stuff, like they're
Yeah.
or they could be like robotic clones. So it's like, but I still want JP to kill Mikey because throughout the entire movie of Arsenal, I was just honestly waiting for Mikey to die.
You want JP to
Yeah.
kill Mike? I don't
Yeah.
know. See, like that could potentially work, and that depends on how you want to go full Nick Cage. But so that's all the plot I have right now, and I just want to give you my tagline. It's called Arsenal 2, and the tagline is "Blood is thicker than brothers."
Damn, that's a really good one. Shit, that's not bad. I was even gonna say like Arsenal 2, Locked and Loaded, because like an arsenal, it's full.
I
of
really
weapons.
wanted to call it Up Your Arsenal, but that's been taken.
Yeah, it's a Ratchet and Clank thing. That's far gone. Fuck. That's it. That's very unhinged. I don't even know if Nick Cage would be like, this is. I think he would say this is too much. He would look at this and be like, this is just
No.
silly.
Well, see,
I
that's
don't
the thing
think
is you
it's
gotta
possible.
hope that he's in on it, because this is like, Nick, we're doing this for you. Like, I looked into your eyes and I saw the fairy dust that you were shooting out, and I was just trying to follow those trails, man. I'm trying to bring that. I genuinely believe, and that if anyone's going to be in on this crazy idea, it'll be Nick Cage, and then we can even like cast his brother again or something, just to keep him happy. And then the script of this movie, we're gonna write a script and have a plan, and we'll stick to some elements of it, like an ending and important themes. We'll stick to some elements of it really strong. But the way we're gonna make this movie is we're gonna film all the Nick Cage shit first, see how nuts he goes, and then we're following him. We're not gonna try to force a brilliant Nick Cage performance into a shitty Nickelback movie. We're gonna fucking follow the Nick Cage golden road.
Here's I'm just gonna give you the criticism currently on my mind right now is with a thought like this, it's you want a lot of absurdity, obviously, and a lot of that like absurdity leads into the shock value or like to a lot of the humor. But what you are presenting to me is a steep. It's a very hard thing to continue one-upping yourself when we're talking about headless Nicolas Cage, his zombie brother. Waterworld, mechs and clones. There's a lot. I'm intrigued.
Dude, can you imagine like a Mad Max pontoon boat?
I can, yeah. Like as they're driving, like they're just like picking up catfish and they're feeding it like directly into the fucking engine to fuel it. Yeah, I could see it.
Right, and honestly, like
And it's just
in
deep
the
frying
first
them.
draft of this movie, I was thinking about like if your issue is on building it up into the third act after opening up with him with his hand in his arm and shit. Like we could always bring in aliens to the third act. Like I really think there's a way that this movie works if like aliens or God or the devil or somebody gets involved in the third act.
Yeah,
and then they all have to team up, because I don't really want to do, if we can avoid it, I really want JP and Mikey to join forces, and even if JP kills Mikey, it should be for the common good. Like he
I
had
was
to
just thinking like
sacrifice his
JP
soul.
can like kill the Mikey clones and like just be like the first way is like I can't believe I killed my brother, and then he sees like 1,000. He's like, oh, I guess I have to just kill my brother. But I want to stay away from too much. What's the term? When people just do the same thing over and over, like bringing in aliens or God at the end. Considering, yeah,
Deus Ex
what?
Machina.
Yeah, no Deus Ex Machina stuff. No, just like backpedaling, doing like what everyone else would do. Just roughly give me that ending. Just roughly give me that ending. While hey, Katz, did you kind of like think of kind of like what you want to do with your movie by chance?
Yeah, a little bit. So I was thinking.
Another second. That's fine.
No, I'm good.
All right. Yeah.
Basically, Derek, I think, he goes up against Nick Cage. And Nick Cage has, he's developed this like harem of old ladies, and they're all basically like a Charlie Manson type cult,
And ladies on LSD. See now, Dwayne, I want you to listen to Katz right now because he's really spitting some good fire right here. I'm intrigued already.
Well, they're basically they're just a violent his violent posse that he can stick on anybody, but they're old ladies also, so they're not too effective. And so Derek is able to kind of like mow through them without too much trouble. And I think it used to be like pretty gory scenes probably.
Like him punching like right through their heads and like fluffing them into like gator mouths and stuff.
Yeah, or like I was thinking like he throws one into like the bed and then he turns the bed on and then it squashes her because it's like one of those like whatever whatever they are beds, decliner and recliner beds, whatever.
Yeah, she's like an old fat lady in a fucking water. That's oh shit, that's a good scene actually.
She violently goes through all these old elderly harem lady members, and he finally gets to Eddie, and they have their epic fight, and Eddie tries to kill him with a defibrillator, and he sneaks, he probably like sneaks up on him, like jumps out of the corner, out of the darkness or something after setting some kind of trap, then gets him with the defibrillator, and he's just like shocking Derek, blah, blah, blah. And then Derek is able to punch him and get him off. And then he, the first thing he grabs like a big syringe full of laxatives, and he plunges every single needle in this box into Eddie, and then Eddie like explodes himself with shit, and that's how he dies.
Is okay because I was hoping you said like the first thing he's gonna grab. I was like, oh, he's gonna grab his nose, but
no. I could probably use a nose reference, some kind of nose thing going on.
That's the source of all my power.
Yeah, let me hit you with this. Like, after he pops like a balloon filled to the brim with shit, all that's left of him will just be his nose, and then your final big line will be, "Huh, got your nose."
Then we end the Nicolas Cage and King trilogy.
Isn't it good?
Yeah,
I just saw the poster.
That's his final death because he died in Deadfall. Also, he died in Deadfall. He died in whatever this fucking movie is called, Arsenal, and then he dies in this one.
We gotta kill him in this one too. Yeah, well, that will be the first thing we bring up to Nicolas Cage is like, you are going to be killed in this movie as well, possibly in real life, but we'll see.
Eventually in real life.
See, that's that. I like it. It's subtle. It's easy, and it's just weird enough. And just like in Arsenal, where it really feels like only like everything gets weird for like a second. This feels like more like it will be a lot easier to kind of like ramp into this like absurdity and let it hit a lot harder for the final scene. And that was my big worry with yours, Dwayne, was like, will those final moments really hit hard enough if we're just constantly on this fucking crazy train? Yeah.
Follow me here, dog. Okay, so the crazy train's still going to be running up until the final ending of the movie. So up until this point, this final little twist, Nick Cage and JP have been working together to try to destroy the army of clone Mikeys. And the final push is finally at the Central Palace of the governor's mansion in New Orleans. The final push is finally there. Okay. And JP and Mikey are about to face off. And that is when Nick Cage reveals the only reason he ever had JP on his side was because he knew that the only enemy the only defense that he could have against Mikey was his brother, because he would never destroy his brother. So it gets to the point where he's about to kill his brother. He's about to kill Nick Cage. He's about to kill everybody. And he throws down his superpower, whatever the fuck, and says, I can't do it. And then Nick Cage just starts slow clapping and laughing maniacally. He's like, ha ha, finally. And then he presses the big button. And he transports Mikey and JP into the video game universe, throwing what used to be their bonding brotherly thing into a final destruction of their relationship, as he can watch them in the video game universe constantly playing a round of Street Fighter or some other 2D fighter game where they have to fight each other to the death all day long, all year long, until the end of time. But through some bullshit, Mikey sacrifices himself to be the losing player, to disconnect from the game, to give away his quarters, as it were. And then JP is able to bust out of the video game universe, and he kills Nick Cage finally. And then we have our little denouement where we go into the future, and JP's sitting there at a barbecue wishing that Mikey was still there. And he goes inside while everybody's outside having fun, and he turns on Street Fighter, and it says player 1, and then it says player 2 just joined the game, and he smiles. And that's the end.
I hate it. I legitimately hate it so much. It's
I'm clapping. It's so good.
It's difficult for me too, because I feel like Arsenal deserves a movie as bad as what you've just given to me. Not as like a direct insult to you. It's.
So honestly, Brant, picture yourself in the theater at this movie and tell me you don't scream "fuck yeah" even at the cringiest part.
I would scream "fuck you" the entire time. I would be fucking.
But it's like a friendly "fuck you," right? Like it's like all right, whatever.
I would be so mad at that ending. I would fucking run up and start tearing apart the screen in front of me in just pure visceral anger.
Oh man.
Which isn't a bad thing, because that's a lot of what I felt watching Arsenal already, was just we watch it together, Dwayne. You remember that. I was screaming at the TV for a lot of it.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of difficult moments going through it. But that said, Brand, like I knew that you were gonna have like something of that feeling, but I was really trying to make it so this would be a reasonable sequel to Arsenal. Because the more you take it away from how shitty that movie was, the less it feels like Arsenal. So I'm trying to I'm just trying to do this in like a Saints Row 3 or Saints Row 4 on a crazy extent, where everything pretended it was crazy before, but now we just acknowledge we're insane.
I think that's my problem with it too, because I think you're too stuck on, and Mikey and JP are great characters because they're so dull and stupid, and so it's very easy to kind of like put them in a scenario that this movie does make sense, but I think Katz kind of understood that the real draw for this movie is Nicolas Cage, and it's just him being Nicolas Cage. Katz, yeah, you totally. You understood perfectly.
No, dude, my movie is so much Nick Cage being Nick Cage, only he's also an ultra-powered governor.
Yeah, so...
He has a robot army. He's like Dr. Robotnik.
He's like Dr. It's just video game reference, and everyone knows...
I have old Nicolas Cage.
There's no good fucking video game movies. I hear Mortal Kombat's okay. I'll have to go see it before
Sonic the Hedgehog's okay, and the first 20 minutes of it was okay.
But yeah, no fucking long-term video game movie is good. And that's my worry. And a lot of people know that too. You don't go clambering unless you were the greasiest fucking pizza-faced boy out there clambering to go watch a video game movie. Katz, yeah, you had me sold. I love the idea. I love the universe you're setting up. I love how we are going to just acknowledge that Nicolas Cage has died already in the first 2 movies of this trilogy. He's going to die again. Yeah, Dwayne, I think you just kind of hit me too hard, too fast.
That player 2 moment was probably the greatest thing I'm ever going to come up with. That was my scene where, at the end of Monsters, Inc., where Sully looks in and Boo is like, Sully or Kitty or whatever. That was my moment.
that was your rosebud. That was your fucking... Oh, man. Wow. Really?
Sorry, Dwayne. Are you
serious?
I hope not, but maybe.
I hope not, too. No, it's a good idea. I really do. I like the idea of like just like this constant like just ramping insanity and just going nuts and nuts and nuts and nuts to butts.
Yeah, because you gotta if you're gonna do a movie like you were saying, how your firmest issue is that it was just an insanity ramp up. You got to go full cartoon world at the end.
Yeah, and it would definitely be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or if you remember at the end of that, it's just the dude turns into like this fucking screaming lunatic cartoon character. It's like, I even killed him. I look just like. Yes, and it just goes off the fucking rails entirely. Then you're like, it hits you. But I think
we should do that movie one of these days because I hear there actually is going to be a Roger Rabbit too.
That's
really?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh man,
but it's probably going to be a piece of dog shit because Warner Brothers and Disney have only gotten more evil.
Did it say anything about if Robert Zemeckis is going to do it or what?
I don't know about that. I just know what's the name of the main actor?
The fuck did I know? Danny
Holy shit! All right, I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah, look at that. But yeah, that's all. It's
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
There you go, Bob Hoskins. Yeah, there you go. Mario from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's just like a roller coaster, Dwayne, and like you spend so much time on the ramp up that there's no real time to enjoy the drop. But I think Cats kind of put together well. This is a fun. It's light. And it's making fun just enough of Arsenal. I believe Cats is a not your choice next.
It is. So for our next film, I would like to watch The Descent.
Ooh, spooky.
I think it came out in like 2011 or I can't remember now. But
spooky movies.
Yeah,
2005.
Yeah, no, it's older, I guess, too. Yeah, it's probably like 2000 something, but yeah, The Descent.
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on the Bezosphere.
Tubi.
There.
Voodoo. Okay.
This was a film that I feel like we all probably saw a lot of trailers for, or at least I remember seeing quite a bit of ads for it when I was like a kid and watching stuff for some reason.
It was too spooky for me because I was too young, and I still don't like spooky movies, so I'm not looking forward to this at all.
Super spooky.
Have fun. It's not bad. So that's it.
All right. Yeah, that was fun, guys. Thank you both for coming. We'll reconvene next time on this podcast known as Bad Ideas with Bad Circle. Goodbye.
My big brother plays with me.
Turn off the player.
Wouldn't want to be
I wouldn't want to be you either if you come back here next week.